we're back for the first time, as a matter of fact, for another UFC breakdown fight prediction video. I am the homie known as Big Ear, and welcome on in here to my channel, Labyrinth /UFC breakdown. Today I am going to be attempting to predict the upcoming UFC pay-per-view, UFC 273 Volkanovski Vs Korean Zombie. You know what it is. Let's jump right into it. Alright, first fight up, we got Julio Arce versus Daniel Wily Cat Santos. First thing that jumps out at me when I look at the tape here is that Julio Arce has greatly improved his defense and head movement lately. He can still get caught as he's going from offense to defense, but I have noticed marked improvement there, and you know, his chin is pretty good. And he is better when he is the guy coming forward and putting on the pressure, but he is known for his boxing and he does have decent countering ability. Now, from what I saw from his opponent, Daniel Santos, the guy's a pressure striker whose boxing is actually pretty similar to that of Arce. He's a better kicker than Julio Arce though, and he's a young guy who hasn't fought in a couple years. So it's possible that he could have made some huge improvements to his overall game since the last time he fought. Be very careful with this fight, guys. The unknowns for Mr. Santos are making me want to stay far away from having any action on this spot. I see Julio Arce's experience, edge, and recent activity rate playing a key role in him getting the win here, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out by a big shot, because Daniel Santos is actually a very serviceable kickboxer with big power from the limited footage I saw on him. But for now, though, I think I'll take Julio Arce to figure out a way to get it done. Next fight up, we have Hansen versus Piera Rodriguez. The thing I immediately notice about Piera Rodriguez is how strong she is. Her strength is excellent for the division, and she has good power in her hands. She has a solid base, and she fights well in the clinch. Her opponent, Hansen, is a problem on the ground, but I see her running into a problem in trying to get this fight to the floor. The more Hansen struggles to get the bigger, stronger Piera Rodriguez down, the more she will be forced to stand with the harder hitter. I really like Piera Rodriguez's mindset coming into this fight, and I think her bigger shots on the feet will be more eye-pleasing for the judges if it goes the distance. So I have to go ahead and go with LaFayette, Piera Rodriguez right here. Anthony Hernandez versus Josh Fremd. Anthony Hernandez is known for two things: sneaky punching power and his sneaky grappling ability. He has a decent chin and always displays excellent heart and warrior spirit in his fights. The opponent, Josh Fremd, he's a big man who likes to either be all the way on the outside pressuring and picking the guy apart with long-range attacks, or all the way on the inside feeding you vicious knees and elbows. I think the best bet here is fight does not go the distance due to the big power that both these men possess, but because Fluffy probably has the better chin of the two, I have to side with him. I would say that Hernandez has the better volume with his attacks, while Fremd has the better cardio. So if the fight does end up going the distance, I think either guy could get the nod, but I just don't see this fight going to the cards, guys. I'll take Anthony Fluffy Hernandez to get the stoppage victory here. Up next, we got Olynyk versus Bandera, and this will be more of a value play for me here rather than an in-depth breakdown. I like the plus money on Olynyk, and I really like his huge experience advantage. Just be careful playing him if you're on him in this spot, because you don't want to go too big on a 44-year-old fighter who may have peaked too soon since his last opponent pulled out at the last minute a couple weeks ago. But still, in this spot, I gotta go with Olynyk against a guy like Bandera. So yeah, I'll go ahead and take Olynyk. Mickey Gall versus Mike Mallet up next. This is a pretty straightforward one for me. If Mickey Gall uses his wrestling and grappling advantage here, he should be all right. But if he chooses to stand with Mike here, it can end up being a long night for him, but I do see Gall using his wrestling and getting the win. Raquel Pennington versus Aspen Lad. In this fight, Aspen Lad desperately needs a strong takedown heavy game plan right here because her striking is just not very good. I think she will try to push the pace a lot more here since in her last fight she basically didn't do anything, and that ended up costing her against Dumont. The problem is the more she tries to come forward and press Raquel Pennington, that's going to be the more she's going to get lit up on the feet, guys, because Raquel Pennington has clearly the far better stand-up, and also Pennington has showed improved grappling and takedown defense as of late, so I think Aspen Lad will be outmatched wherever this fight goes. Not a super confident pick for me here, but I have Raquel Pennington winning this fight somewhat comfortably. Give me Raquel Pennington. All right, next fight up, we got Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Marcin Tybura, and I just think this is a tough spot for Marcin Tybura right here as he's taking on Rozenstruik, who just got decisioned by Curtis Blade. So I think Biggie Boy, he'll have a huge emphasis on his takedown defense this camp. Of course, Tybura really needs to get this fight to the ground because Rozenstruik was the far superior striker. I just think that somewhere over the course of 15 minutes, he's going to get caught on the way in. Give me Jairzinho Rozenstruik by TKO stoppage here. Looks like we got the prelim headliner up next. Iangary versus Darian Weeks. Now, Darian Weeks is a strong wrestler who definitely doesn't shy away from a good scrap. Incredibly, in 25 total MMA fights between his amateur and professional career, Darian Weeks has never been knocked out or submitted. So his durability is highly impressive. One thing I noted about him, though, he tends to be a bit hittable, and that could be a problem against a sharp striker like Iangary. Now, being the much bigger and more technically proficient kickboxer, Iangary is going to want to keep this fight on the feet as much as possible. So Darian Weeks would be well served to bring a wrestling heavy game plan into this contest. I don't know if Iangary will be able to be the first ever to stop Darian Weeks or not, but either way, I see this being a dogfight, and I see Iangary leaning on his size and striking advantage here to get a win over the always game Darian Weeks. All right, moving right along to the main card opener, Vince Pichel versus Marco Madsen. This matchup, it will be the great wrestling attack of Marco Madsen against the well-rounded game of Vince Pichel. So Vince Pichel is going to have a huge striking advantage in this fight. If Mark can't keep Vince Pichel grounded, Pichel's striking will be a bigger factor than Marco Madsen's wrestling as the fight goes on. This is a tough fight to predict because Vince Pichel is just so fucking tough, guys, but I see Marco Madsen coming in with the right strategy here, of the strategy of basically chain wrestling. I mean, it would be a massive mistake for Marco Madsen to not utilize that Olympic level wrestling of his, and I just think he's a lot smarter than that. So I'll go ahead and take Marco Madsen to win this fight by decision. Next fight, Mackenzie Dern versus Tecia Torres. This is a very straightforward pick for me right here, guys. Dern opened up as an underdog and the public money has come in on her, but I'm fading the public right here, guys. I think that Tecia Torres is the sharp side of this matchup. Tecia Torres has never been submitted, and Mackenzie Dern doesn't really have very good offensive takedowns. So give me Tecia Torres in a decision. Now this next fight is a clash of two titans and the highly anticipated Gilbert Burns versus Hamza Chimaev. Now, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen in this fight, but I can guarantee you this fight will not go to a decision, guys. Gilbert Burns is unquestionably the highest level grappler that Chimaev has ever faced, and Hamza Chimaev is probably the best wrestler that Gilbert Burns has ever faced. So something's got to give here. If you like an all-action war, this is the one for you. Now in the stand-up department, I have to give the edge to Chimaev, but Burns is always very dangerous. Gilbert Burns could derail the hype train with one well-placed shot, but I think it's more likely that Chimaev will be able to ride his wave of momentum to a spectacular victory here. Hamza Chimaev has that long, he's got those long arms that he's going to use to get into a body lock position on Burns. And from there, I see Chimaev introducing his backside to the mat time and time again. Now, it's possible that Burns could submit him, but I just think that Chimaev's, his top game is going to be too much. I see Hamza Chimaev putting Gilbert Burns in a world of hurt on the floor and finishing him with strikes. Give me Hamza Chimaev by a TKO. All right, co-main event is Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan, part 2. And while I think this fight could be more competitive than the first one, there's no way I'm picking against Petr Yan here, guys. I mean, Aljo, he's going to be attempting to wrestle Yan for 5 rounds, and I see that as far too difficult a task for him. I think Yan is hungrier than ever coming into this rematch, and he's pissed off, guys. Not really a technical breakdown for me right here, but he doesn't really need it either, guys. I mean, Petr Yan is better than Aljamain Sterling. Any and everywhere this fight is going to go, I got Petr Yan by a finish. Main event time. Aleksandar Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. So I have been on Korean Zombie for the past 3 weeks coming into this, and of the underdogs in the last 3 fights on this card, I do think that he has the best chance to upset the favorite. Here's my issue with that now, though. The more I think about it, guys, the more I realize that Aleksandar Volkanovski is at his best against strikers like the Korean Zombie. Aleksandar Volkanovski is the physical embodiment of both toughness and intelligence. Now, I thought this fight would come down to Volk's low leg kick versus Zombie's right hand, but one thing I noticed when I was rewatching that second Max Holloway fight, Volk doesn't go to the well. What I mean by that, Volk was throwing the outside low leg kick early in that fight when Max was basically having his most success. And then Volk made a mid-fight adjustment and started throwing more inside leg kicks and body punches instead of the outside low leg kick. And from there, he started taking over the fight. Also, his head movement actually got better as that fight went on. Aleksandar Volkanovski's fight IQ is absolutely unbelievable. And with the volume of strikes he throws, I don't think I can just be stubborn and stick to my guns right here, guys. So, I don't think Zombie will be able to finish Aleksandar Volkanovski in this fight, but I do think that Zombie does need the finish in this fight if he's going to win it. So I'll officially change my tune now from Zombie is going to win to Zombie is going to basically have a better showing than most people think he will right here. So I think the guy that'll finally end up beating Aleksandar Volkanovski will actually be a guy like Henry Cejudo if they ever fought. But as for this one, I got to change my mind here, guys. I got Aleksandar Volkanovski retaining the title by outlasting the Korean Zombie right here. And so that's the video, guys. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. Once I get the ball rolling, you guys can count on me to come out with prediction videos for each and every UFC event, and I invite you all to come along for the ride if you enjoy this type of content. Be sure to check out my partner in crime, 2 Cents, over at Just My 2 Cents on YouTube. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Arkansas on YouTube for the craziest live streams and the very best MMA prediction competitions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.